Yeah, we are live. Now you can talk. We're just going to start in a few minutes, okay? You can have your free conversation.
Okay, so let's see if we are beautiful enough.
Oh.
Of course we are. No doubt about that. That's the first step.
Yeah, sometimes I think it's easier to convince people you're beautiful through the screen. Everything goes wrong, we just turn off the camera.
Yeah, yeah, that's a way. Or switch off the microphone.
Yeah.
Wow.
That works too.
Oh, I see the countdown now. Okay. There's, oh my God, this is anxious. This is really something terrible. Anyways, it's like you're looking at the minutes going down. I feel like going back to the radio.
But the only thing that I don't like about it is presenting and you're just looking at your slides and you don't see anybody else.
Yeah.
It's a feeling of loneliness. So I don't like to make presentations like this. Yes, I feel lonely.
So you don't really know how many people are connected.
I can see you gasping. I can see Gabrielle. I really feel I am with you. I don't feel lonely. I feel happy.
No, when I'm making a presentation.
You know. Ah, okay. Because you can't see the audience.
No, yes, I can't. I'm just looking at the slides, so that's why I feel lonely.
No, you don't need to. We're here with you. We're all together, actually. Even though we're far away.
Yeah, today I'm going to feel pretty good because I will look at all of you at the same time. I will not present anything, actually.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
So I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Have you ever been to Brazil, Maria?
Yes. Luckily for me, yes. I've been to São Paulo, to Vitória. There's where I met Gabrielle. And that's about it. But for me, it's good. I never expected to.
You haven't
have the chance.
You haven't been to my home. You haven't been to my hometown where I was born.
Which is?
I'm going to give you a clue. The most beautiful city in Brazil.
Oh.
Which
Where are you
is?
from originally, Rita?
I was born in Rio. But I
Rio
grew up in Spain.
I've been to Rio. I've been to Rio. Sorry about that. I didn't mention it.
Okay.
I've been to Rio. Yeah.
Right.
I think probably the first or second time I went to Brazil with my husband. We went together to Rio as a small tour of the place. We also been to Italian. Other places like that. Yes.
Oh
yes,
God.
because I was with a group of friends.
Okay. All right.
And yeah. I love Brazil is a beautiful country, so it's really anywhere could be the best place in Brazil. So when you say, "Oh, the best city in Brazil," I'm like, "Okay, which one?" There are so many. So, and I also had a very good time with the people.
Actually, there are so many countries inside one country.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I know
wherever you go, you're gonna feel like being in a different country.
It's true. It's true.
The diversity is huge.
Yeah, which is part of the beauty of the country, actually. The fact that you have so many different cultures and so much diversity in the same place. I mean, I like diversity, so for me, it's beautiful. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's really good. This is something that I love about this country.
Yeah.
This diversity.
Yeah. And also, the landscape is beautiful, and fruits are very good. I'm a fruit lover, so I love fruit. And yeah,
Oh,
every time I come there, I always have good memories on my way back. So
generally, foreigners always say that, with the fruits they have never imagined that could exist,
yeah,
and they see in Brazil.
yeah. Yeah, actually, I've tried some fruits that I've never seen before too when I got to Brazil. And my colleague, her name is Janice Timoteo. She's married now, so she changed her name, but she's actually in Campinas University now, probably. And she's the first one who took me around in a market in Brazil, São Paulo's market, and like I had all these people selling me fruits and making me taste the fruits, and I was like, "Oh yes, let me taste anything. I will taste it. I don't care." And that was beautiful, super tasty, super smelly, nice perfume, nice place actually. So Rubens, are we going to start, or is it like what are we supposed to do?
People are coming in. People are coming in. We have
Okay.
colleagues from many parts of the country now, but we're still waiting for a
Okay.
few more minutes, 3 to 4 more minutes, and then we start.
Okay.
I
Okay.
see.
But if you want
That's
to,
fine, yeah.
Considering the time that you were here in Brazil, what was something that really impressed you? Something that you liked most when you were here in Brazil?
The people. There's like everybody was so friendly to me. Anybody. I mean, also when I was in Rio, when I had all these. I mean, I love the place, so I had no problems actually. But I had many people warning me to stay safe, not to walk into certain places, not to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, also having people worrying about me was a way to. I know I felt very welcomed. I felt really like I was already in a family,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that is not so common to feel. And also with my colleagues from Brazil, uh, there's a sort of special contact. It's not like it's not the same as other colleagues. It's not that I want to take anything away from other colleagues, but it's just like a sense of family, which comes especially with my Brazilian colleagues. So this is something very special. The people, and the fruits, and the landscape as well. That's beautiful. The sea.
Great.
I don't know. I can't choose. This is a difficult question, Rita.
Oh, it's always a hard question to be answered, right?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard. Yeah, it is. What about you? Have you ever been to Italy?
No, I haven't. I really wish I could.
Unfortunately,
Well,
not
Especially
yet.
there will
Rome.
I
be a
was
time.
planning. I was planning.
Yeah,
I was
Rome has
planning
a
to go
lot to
now
offer.
in July. So
In July?
yeah, I have a
Okay.
Yeah.
dream. Yeah, I have a dream of spending. I have a dream of spending 1 month driving around Toscana.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Toscana is
Why? Why
wonderful
Toscana?
Yeah,
place.
but
uh,
well,
The
because of
landscape is beautiful.
the lot of movies I've watched about Toscana.
Jasmine hit a
Yeah,
please, Maria. I know you're having a
yeah.
nice talk, but I think it's time to start work.
It's fine.
Uh,
It's fine. It's part
yeah.
of the talk.
Okay, that's work.
We have many colleagues Maria,
Okay.
from all over Brazil. We have professors from all over the country. We have Artaxerxes Modesto here from my institute. We have Rafael. We also have Professor Pedro Wicks. I guess you've met him
Oh, hi,
before.
Pedro.
Luisa Monte, Maria Emilia, Diego, and many others, right? So I think it's
Yeah.
time for us to start our presentation. Aos
Okay.
colegas que estão aqui, eu gostaria de dar boas-vindas, né, a essa ocasião. É mais uma atividade que está sendo realizada pelo Grupo Interdisciplinar em Estudos de Linguagem, o GIEL, né? E o nosso grupo desde que iniciamos esse período de pandemia, decidimos que todas as nossas atividades seriam realizadas por esse canal para que pudéssemos dar acesso a muitas outras pessoas que têm interesse em continuar sendo produtivos e fazendo balbúrdia nesse período de pandemia, né? Então, eu gostaria de dar boas-vindas a todos vocês. Meu nome é Rubens, eu não vou continuar aqui com vocês. O Gabriel e a Rita serão os moderadores e tradutores da professora Maria, que vai falar em inglês, né? O Gasper e a Rita. E o Gabriel será o nosso intérprete de Libras, com mais um colega também que irá revezar, né? Eu estarei assistindo vocês nos bastidores, né? A professora Maria, a Maria Tagarelli de Monte, né? Ela é doutora e ela atua como docente, como pesquisadora na Universidade Internazionali di Roma e no Istituto Statale de Surdez, também de Roma, na Itália. Ela tem muito interesse em assuntos relacionados com os estudos da linguagem, cognição, tecnologia, surdez, code switching para surdez. Ela transita nos campos relacionados à alfabetização e adaptação curricular para os cursos de Língua Italiana de Sinais, né? E hoje a professora Maria vai falar conosco sobre o papel da tecnologia, não? Para nós, nos estudos de linguagem, e também para os que trabalham com a língua de sinais brasileira, italiana e outras, né? Então, a professora Maria hoje vai abordar esse tema. Ela vai falar em inglês, o Gasper e a Rita revezarão na tradução, mas fiquem à vontade para já postar as suas perguntas, né? Que o Gasper e a Rita irão traduzir, né? E quem já quiser postar a pergunta em inglês, fique à vontade, que facilita bastante o trabalho dos tradutores. Muito obrigado a todos vocês pela presença. Certamente será um período muito produtivo para todos nós nessa manhã. Só um aviso, os que não conseguiram se inscrever ainda no link que nós disponibilizamos, fiquem tranquilos, depois é só enviar uma mensagem para nós que nós organizamos isso, vocês poderão se inscrever ou enviar o nome para nós e nós providenciamos o certificado de todos que talvez não tenham conseguido. Porque alguns começaram a me mandar, Gaston, mensagem, agora pela manhã, dizendo que está finalizado o evento lá, eles não estão conseguindo se inscrever. Mas depois a gente vê isso, tá bom? Muito obrigado a todos.
Eu preciso, né? Rubens, as pessoas que entrarem em contato, estiverem assistindo, tá? Então, por gentileza, mandem um e-mail até hoje, para que a gente consiga já fechar a lista, né? Por causa do prazo que a gente tem para fazer a emissão de certificados.
Para qual e-mail eles mandariam? Depois você me manda, que eu posto aqui no chat para todos.
Beleza.
Tá bom? Maria, welcome.
Yes.
Welcome, and have a nice talk.
Thank you very much. Also, I suppose there are many people there, so thank you for taking some time for stopping in and to listen to this webinar. This is my first experience ever of a webinar, so excuse me if I will do some mistakes or if I will look in a different direction. Despite of all the experience I have with technology, education online, etc., I didn't really prepare myself for a webinar, so this is my first time, so excuse me if something will go off-road. You can translate.
Thank you. Agradeço a todos presentes que tiraram tempo para participar desse evento. Essa é, na verdade, a primeira vez que eu participo de uma conferência online dessa forma, então peço desculpas caso algo, né, errado aconteça, e agradeço novamente por todos que dedicaram tempo a participar desse evento.
So first of all, I would like to thank Rubens and Gabriel Nascimento for allowing me to do this webinar. I'm still on the first slide, just for the presentation, and also for inviting me to take part of the scientific committee of Riel. And I really consider this as the whole matter of ICT and education online is really a hot topic in this moment of lockdown because of the spread of the new coronavirus. So yeah, actually, when I was invited to do this webinar, there was nothing special happening. So I did prepare a presentation that was mostly on how to construct e-learning systems for the deaf. Actually, as we got closer to the date and all the pandemic started, I thought it was really the case to reformulate and present the way in which technology actually helped continuing education and continuing sign language education online. So this is what I will be talking about today.
Agradeço ao Rubens Lacerda de Sá e também a Gabriel Nascimento pelo convite para fazer parte desse comitê científico, participando desse evento do GEL, que é o Grupo Interdisciplinar em Estudos da Linguagem. E para falar desse tema importante sobre linguística, cognição, informação, comunicação e tecnologia. A princípio, quando eu fui convidada para fazer parte desse evento, não havia nada de especial acontecendo, mas desde então, considerando, né, a forma como o coronavírus, né, o novo coronavírus se espalhou, achei interessante trazer para vocês algumas questões relacionadas ao ensino para surdos no ambiente tecnológico.
We can change slide.
Ok, então esse foi o primeiro slide, vamos ao segundo.
Okay. So just before I begin, I wanted to give you a short introduction of myself. In the initial presentation that Rubens gave about the people attending, I heard a few names of people that probably already know me, but I think it's useful for me to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me yet.
Então, nesse primeiro slide, eu gostaria de me apresentar, falar um pouco de mim, e também de algumas pessoas que eu conheci, e quando o Rubens me convidou, algumas pessoas que estão aqui presentes eu já tive a oportunidade de conhecer, mas nesse primeiro slide eu gostaria apenas de fazer uma apresentação com relação à minha família, as pessoas que eu conheci.
Okay, so I was born in a deaf family. Mother and father are both deaf and both signers. My mother was born in the United States of America, and my father is Italian. I grew up being exposed to two spoken language, Italian and English, one dialect, which is the dialect of the southern Italy where I raised, and two sign language, which is American Sign Language and Italian Sign Language of the time. So growing up, I added French to my linguistic skills, and hopefully I will soon add Portuguese and Libras, why not, to my languages.
Eu nasci em uma família de surdos. Minha mãe e meu pai, ambos surdos e sinalizando. Minha mãe nasceu nos Estados Unidos e meu pai é italiano. Eu cresci sendo exposta a duas línguas faladas, um dialeto e duas línguas sendo sinalizadas. E durante, né, a minha vida também, eu passei a aprender francês nas minhas, né, competências linguísticas, e eu espero que em breve eu possa também, né, adicionar o português brasileiro e Libras, a língua brasileira de sinais, também.
So I started working professionally in creating services for the deaf in 2004. And then I started to do research on sign language and deaf studies in 2009 when I joined the State Institute for the Deaf in Rome, ISSR. As I went through in my professional path, I started to specialize in online education, bimodal bilingualism in deaf adults, and then in sign language education, which is something that I started to practice in 2015 as I started to collaborate with the with UNINT, Università degli Studi Internazionali di Roma.
Eu comecei a trabalhar profissionalmente, né, criando, né, serviços, atividades para surdos em 2004, passando então para pesquisa em 2009 e progressivamente especializei em educação online e bilinguismo bimodal para adultos surdos e educação linguística de sinais. Eu comecei a ensinar a língua de sinais em 2015 em uma aula experimental na Unint, que é a Universidade Italiana Internacional, como uma das primeiras aulas, né, no contexto acadêmico na Itália, seguindo o Marco Comum Europeu de Referência, como uma referência para um padrão de aprendizagem da língua de sinais. E também pude trabalhar na ISSR.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages is an European document which allows spoken language education to be uniformed towards a common standard. As you may understand, as the European Commission started to build up, many languages were following different standards for education as a second language. So this came up as a problem when the frontiers were opened, because people who were learning a language, like in Italy, they were learning French in Italy, would move to French having a standard which was different from people who would learn French, let's say, in Spain. So for this reason, the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages was built to allow job providers and teachers, educators, to have a standard, a common standard, a shared standard to aim for.
O Marco Comum Europeu de Referência, também conhecido como CEFR, por essa sigla, ele é, na verdade, uma referência, né, para que haja um padrão na aprendizagem de uma segunda língua, o que também se aplicaria, neste caso, à língua de sinais, para que uma pessoa, por exemplo, possa aprender francês na Espanha, seguindo alguns padrões, algumas referências que são utilizadas internacionalmente. Então, desde então, o Marco Comum Europeu de Referência será adotado no mundo todo, com algumas orientações e padrões que possam ser seguidos, para que a aprendizagem em qualquer lugar possa ser compatível com aquilo que se espera considerando um outro idioma.
Now, despite of the fact that sign language was already considered as a language by the European Commission at the time in which the CFR was built, actually, the reference to the CFR was never considered before 2014, when we started to work on it, we as the State Institute for the Deaf, so me as a scientific director, together with other deaf and hearing teachers of sign language, we worked together to adapt the sign language methodology, sign language education methodology, to the Common European Framework of Reference for Language.
O marco comum de referência para o ensino de línguas já existisse há bastante tempo, foi apenas em 2015 que ele passou a ser pensado, né, sofrendo adaptações para o contexto da aprendizagem da língua de sinais. Por isso, a professora Maria, juntamente com outros professores, se empenharam em trabalhar nas adaptações necessárias para que o marco comum europeu também pudesse atender a essa demanda do ensino de línguas.
So that's how we became the first one in Italy to use the Common European Framework of Reference for Language as a standard for sign language education as well. I started teaching sign language formally in 2015. Just a few years before then, I started my conversation with the Brazilian research community in sign language, with a collaboration with Professor Fernando Capovilla of the University of São Paulo. At the time, he had a PhD student, which was Janice Timoteo. We started our conversation then. We started our collaboration, which is what you see in the first photo and in the slide. And then after time in time, this network of collaboration increased, also including Felipe Barbosa, second picture on the slide, Silvia Lia, Gianni Christine Cantarelli, Luciene Matos, and her husband Leonardo Lucio Oliveira, Lucio Machado, Veira Machado. Sorry about my Portuguese. And I was also very glad to meet young and promising professors such as Pedro Vich and Gabriel Nascimento. So each time I get in touch with somebody from the Brazilian community, I'm blessed to increase my network a little more, which is something that I'm very happy of.
Então, foi daquela, né, considerando o trabalho feito com outros professores, que nos tornamos o primeiro grupo na Itália a fazer essa associação entre o marco comum europeu de referência para línguas e a língua de sinais na Itália. E apenas poucos anos antes, que eu comecei, né, a ter algumas conversas com grupos de pesquisa no Brasil, voltados, né, para a língua de sinais, em colaboração com o professor Fernando Capovilla, da Universidade de São Paulo, e na época também com seu estudante de doutorado, Janice Temóteo. Desde então, eu tenho o prazer de trabalhar com muitas pessoas que eu aprecio muito, como, por exemplo, Felipe Barbosa, Silvia Lia, a Jane Cristine Cantarelli, Luciane Matos, e o seu marido Leonardo Lúcio Vieira Machado, que são as pessoas que aparecem na foto. Eu também tive o prazer de conhecer, né, professores jovens e também eminentes, como o Pedro Wides e também o Gabriel Nascimento, que é membro do grupo GEL, e agora tendo a oportunidade de estar interagindo com vocês, e sempre que eu tenho a oportunidade de interagir e trabalhar com pesquisadores brasileiros, eu me sinto muito abençoada. Eu aumento muito a minha rede de contatos e sou muito grata, fico muito feliz por isso.
In the last photo, with the one with the blue screen, you can see me with a few deaf and one hearing colleague. So most of the people in the photo are deaf. While we are working on one of the recent projects we are running now, which is the sign safety at work project, which is a project that is dedicated to developing an adaptation of signs and phrases for their use in security and for their use in emergency settings. So I thought I would mention this project as well, because it also have an ambition of providing e-learning education to professionals of emergency settings, and this is extremely let's say actual, extremely concrete, due to the time that we are living.
Então, nessa última foto, vocês podem me ver com a camisa azul. Eu estou ali juntamente com outras pessoas que são surdas e estamos trabalhando com sinais para processos de emergência, especialmente nesse momento, né? Essa aprendizagem é algo real e a gente espera, através dessa educação à distância, ensinar outras pessoas também a utilizar esses gestos e sinais para situações de emergência, para contextos em que isso se faz necessário, e contribuindo dessa forma também para a formação de outros profissionais que dependam desse conhecimento.
So we can go ahead to the next slide. Okay, so in this slide, you can see a sort of timeline of what happened in Italy during the lockdown, before and in this period. So it's like a timeline of the lockdown period for us.
Então, nesses slides, vocês podem visualizar uma espécie de linha do tempo, em que nós temos, né, a visualização aí dessa espécie de linha do tempo do confinamento na Itália. O título desse slide é Tecnologia, Surdez e Língua de Sinais durante o Confinamento.
As you will see as you can see in the slide, it's very small, so I apologize. It's not very clear, but the colors in the slide can help you understanding which period I'm referring to, because what you see in blue is actually the period before the 7th of March, which is the date in which the lockdown started from northern Italy. And the last part you see in blue is the 1st of June, when finally activities started to open again.
Peço desculpas pelo tamanho das letras nesse slide, então sei que muitos têm dificuldade de enxergar, mas vocês podem entender o que eu vou dizer considerando as cores apresentadas. Então, em vermelho, vocês verão o que acontecia antes de 17 de março, quando teve o início da pandemia no norte da Itália, e em azul, o período após o mês de junho.
Okay. So, the topic that I will cover today is about technology, deafness, and sign language during the lockdown. So I will mainly report about my observation as a person who worked with ICT and online education. And I will not go too much into detailed comments about what happened, as things are still in ongoing situation and rapid transformation. And I believe that trying to give a perspective of our direction now in this situation can only lead to possible misunderstandings. Also because it has been and is still a very difficult moment where lots of people lost part of their families. Lots of people had to face very big difficulties, eventually job loss. So none of what I will say today is in any way an intention to criticize the way in which the whole thing has been managed, but is especially a way to just observe as a researcher, as a person who is expert in online education, the way in which things were managed, and what can we learn from what we experienced.
O tópico que eu vou abranger hoje é sobre tecnologia, surdez e a língua de sinais durante o confinamento. Eu vou, primeiramente, me reportar as minhas observações enquanto uma pessoa que trabalhou com informação, comunicação e tecnologia na educação online, mais do que entrar em detalhes sobre o que aconteceu, porque nada do que eu disser, considerando tantas vidas que foram perdidas, perda de emprego, tanta dor, não fará diferença considerando essas catástrofes. Então, o que eu pretendo, enquanto pesquisadora, e também observando uma situação que está em andamento, em uma rápida transformação, eu acredito que é importante dar apenas uma perspectiva, um direcionamento agora nessa situação, considerando o que pode ser feito nessa educação online, e que pode somente nos levar a compreender essas perspectivas sobre a aprendizagem online, mas sem ficar presa a muitos detalhes que podem, inclusive, gerar mal entendidos. Okay.
So we can go to the next slide.
Então, vamos para o próximo slide.
Okay, so starting from the 7th of March, as I said, the general lockdown in Italy started, and as schools also shut down, students and teachers were invited or forced to move their activities online on online platforms that were suggested by their head organizations. So mostly for the mainstream education, these platforms were Google Classroom and all the services related to that. For higher education and private education, the platforms that were mostly used were Microsoft Teams, Zoom, or Google Meet. For some of you probably know these.
A partir do dia 7 de março, devido à pandemia, professores e alunos foram convidados e, ao mesmo tempo, foram obrigados a adaptar ao uso de novas tecnologias, como, por exemplo, aulas online, utilizando mainstreaming, ou aulas ao vivo, e as escolas, no caso, como elas ficaram fechadas, só foi possível que as aulas continuassem através de plataformas online, que foram sugeridos, né, pelos diretores das organizações, pelos diretores, e algumas dessas plataformas são, por exemplo, o Google Classroom, o Microsoft Teams, Zoom, e também o Google Meet, que eu creio que muitos de vocês já conheçam. Okay.
Now, as those of you who, many of you who knows the topic or who have worked on e-learning platform may already recognize that among these platforms, the only one which is specifically thought for education is Google Classroom. The other platforms are not intended specifically for education. They're mostly intended for to ease webinars, online meetings, etc. So this is already one, the first of the details that I've noticed as we moved from in-person, face-to-face education to online settings.
Como vocês já devem ter observado, a maior parte dessas plataformas sugeridas aí, plataformas online, elas não eram destinadas à educação, né? Eram, na verdade, plataformas para reuniões, para facilitar interações em reuniões. Mas o Google Classroom, que era, de fato, pensado para interações entre professor e aluno. Então, essa foi uma das primeiras coisas que nós começamos a observar quando nós tivemos que interagir utilizando essas plataformas.
What is interesting for me to notice here is the fact that those of us who work with e-learning platforms normally work with Moodle or other open source e-learning systems. So we learn to adapt the system for a specifically designed online course. In this case, what has actually led the transformation, led the movement from in-presence education to online education has been the price of the platform. So those platforms that were provided for free were the one that most people will go to, and also the educators will go to. And the second one is their level of knowledge. So how much people would know these platforms, how famous these platforms were in the country.
Então, duas coisas importantes que foram observadas, considerando essa experiência com novas plataformas, foi primeiro compreender, né, quais seriam grátis, né, seriam gratuitas para facilitar o acesso, e qual seria o nível de experiência ou familiaridade com essas plataformas para que as decisões fossem tomadas nesse sentido. Então, algumas, né, já eram mais conhecidas por educadores e outras não. Okay.
So this is the first point. Going ahead with the slide to the next one.
Seguindo adiante com o
Now
próximo slide.
Here I recall two moments in which finally the informations were provided to the deaf in sign language. This event comes up to more or less the 10th of March, which is more or less 3 days after the lockdown, the official lockdown.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. In this slide, yes. In this slide, I summarized two events that happened 2 days after the lockdown, which is the translation of the information from Italian, spoken Italian, to sign language. And on the left, you see the official page of the National Association for the Deaf, which opened a whole new page only dedicated to provide information and updates about the coronavirus spread. On the right, you see the interpreter who officially translated all the contents and all the communication given day by day by the Protezione Civile which is an organization run by the government, who is officially dedicated to manage emergency situation and crisis.
Então, nesse slide, nós temos o resumo, né, de 2 grandes eventos que aconteceram 3 dias após o início da pandemia, após o dia 17 de março. Então, na parte esquerda do slide, nós observamos, né, a tradução simultânea para a língua de sinais, da comunicação oral para sign language, para a língua de sinais, na Itália, e na segunda parte nós vemos uma transmissão que passou a ser diária, informando os níveis de segurança, utilizando a língua de sinais, o que representou, na verdade, um grande marco, né, para a inclusão e para a contribuição, então, né, da compreensão desse contexto da língua de sinais na Itália para situações de emergência.
Okay. So, moving to the next slide.
Indo agora para o próximo slide.
Okay, so actually the coronavirus spread was the second time in 2020 where sign language gained national visibility. The first time is what is depicted here was during the traditional song TV show, which is Sanremo. You probably know it if you watch the Italian channel, during which the whole show has been translated to sign language but broadcasted online. And the show has been held from February 4 to 8, 2020.
Então, esse slide, né, o título é o papel da tecnologia no confinamento, e nós observamos que pela segunda vez em 2020, a língua de sinais ela ganha em visibilidade nacional, porque foi a primeira vez durante, né, um programa de TV musical, né, chamado Sanremo, que é do canal italiano, que durante todo o show houve essa tradução para a língua de sinais e foi transmitida também online, né, do dia 4 ao dia 8 de fevereiro. Okay.
Okay. So the reason for which I recall your attention to this point is that sign language is not an official language in Italy. So for this reason, any kind of translation to sign language of official or non-official information is not granted, and especially is not visible on a national scale.
A razão pela qual, né, eu enfatizo como esse evento deve ser, né, notório é pelo fato de que a língua de sinais na Itália ela não é uma língua oficial. Então, é algo muito notório que a gente tem essa transmissão aí, né, vários dias online, utilizando a língua de sinais, e especialmente num show que é conhecido, né, nacionalmente. Então, isso mostra toda uma visibilidade da língua de sinais na Itália. Ok.
So, moving to the next slide.
Então, indo para o próximo slide.
I recall the timeline just to show you how close it was from Sanremo, which was at the beginning of February, and the coronavirus official translation page, which was exactly 1 month before, 1 month later, sorry. There are some connection problems, but I hope we're still online.
Okay, yeah. I can hear you. So,
okay.
Então, in this slide, okay, I will translate the thing you have just said. And I don't know if people are still online.
I would just translate and then hopefully things will go back. Yes, they are.
Okay. So as they are just coming back, maybe you could say that again.
Yeah, sure. So I'm recalling the slide from the timeline, just to show you how close it was from the date in which sign language has gained a greater visibility for its presence online through the Sanremo show, and the day in which it gained more visibility because of the coronavirus spread, which was exactly 1 month later.
Então, através desse slide, eu gostaria de enfatizar, né, a visibilidade que a língua de sinais ganhou através do evento de Sanremo, né, no caso, o show, um mês antes, e exatamente quando o coronavírus atingiu seu auge, um mês depois, nós temos essa transmissão, né, no caso, a tradução simultânea das notícias aí, mostrando mais uma vez, né, como que a língua de sinais estava tendo um papel fundamental para que as pessoas entendessem o que estava acontecendo, inclusive. E o mais importante também durante esse evento foi que a língua de sinais foi para deixar clara a questão da importância da proteção civil, ou protezione civile, como é chamado lá na Itália.
Another thing that I would like you to note is that while during the Sanremo show, the sign language interpretation has been broadcasted online, during the coronavirus spread, the information given by the National Association for the Deaf has been provided online, but the official translation has been provided on TV, thus being more direct and more punctual than having two different channels, like one online and one on TV, which was actually the case of Sanremo.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. What I also want to note is that the first show, Sanremo, has been broadcasted both on TV and online. So this has further created a double channel, you know, mainstream show on TV, and then the sort of subs show online just for the deaf. On the opposite, 1 month later, the fact that the speaker of the Protezione Civile was accompanied by an official interpreter actually gave a greater visibility to sign language, because the language, both languages were there in the same time. Information in Italian for the major population and information in sign language for the deaf population.
É interessante notar como é que os dois eventos ali, tanto no caso do show de Sanremo, como no caso da tradução simultânea do civil, protezione civile, da proteção civil, tiveram um impacto interessante, porque ambos, basicamente, proporcionaram aos surdos a oportunidade de participar, no sentido de Sorry.
Are you there?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Voltando aqui, então, no caso, as pessoas tiveram a oportunidade de assistir, ao mesmo tempo que puderam acompanhar também online, e no caso da parte vermelha, em que nós temos ali, né, o Protezione Civile, que foi a informação sobre proteção civil, foi um reforço também para que a língua de sinais tivesse visibilidade. Okay.
Okay, so moving forward with the next slide.
Indo adiante com outro slide.
The greater visibility of sign language and probably a higher sensitivity towards the fact that also deaf people needed to be informed about the spread of the virus, especially because the virus particularly hit senior population, and many deaf signers are part of the senior population, made it so that contents in sign language were actually provided more and more also online. So multiple social networks actually hosted more information also in sign language.
Então, houve uma maior visibilidade e também uma sensibilidade maior, né, que tornou, no caso, aí, os conteúdos disponíveis para a língua de sinais, através de múltiplas redes e mídias sociais. E também houve um aumento nos programas, né, voltados para a língua de sinais online, tanto por sinalizadores profissionais, como também sinalizadores que estavam iniciando a sua carreira. Então, as pessoas surdas, elas ficaram felizes, né, pela multiplicação, né, desses conteúdos online, embora elas pudessem, né, perceber que aqueles serviços, eles foram, na verdade, administrados por profissionais e foram pagos. Então, de fato, os intérpretes educacionais na Itália, eles têm sido deixados de uma forma não oficial, né, o que torna, na verdade, esse trabalho mais difícil para compreender, no caso, a realidade do intérprete, a preparação dele, que também não é desinformada. Então, como consequência disso, né, a gente observa que muitos serviços acabam sendo precários em termos de qualidade, ou acabam não seguindo, né, o padrão que é esperado aí para esse trabalho.
So just to make it, to give you the information in English as well, for the Libras interpreter, the greater visibility of sign language led to a raise in small sign language training programs online by both professionals and early signers. So despite of the fact that deaf people did love the multiplication of accessible contents online, actually they draw the attention to the fact that these services should be run by professionals and they should be paid. As in many cases, contents were provided in sign language by volunteers, and this, of course, is a good thing from the volunteer point of view, but it's a bad thing from the point of view of the quality and the level of the contents, and in the same time providing sign language courses by not being a professional sign language teacher or a skilled signer actually gives other kind of problems related to the degree of knowledge of a language.
Então, no caso, as pessoas surdas, né, conforme foi enfatizado antes, por mais que estivessem felizes, gratas por todos os serviços que estavam sendo prestados, pela informação que passou a ser, né, provida ali, ainda assim perceberam que havia muitos problemas com relação à qualidade dessa informação, e na opinião deles, esse tipo de trabalho deveria realmente ser feito por profissionais, que inclusive deveriam ser pagos. Porque o que se observou foi, em muitos casos, que esses conteúdos estavam sendo, na verdade, né, providos por intérpretes que eram voluntários, o que, infelizmente, precarizou a qualidade do serviço prestado. Okay.
Okay, so moving to the next slide. Okay. I just realign myself now. Yeah, there's a moment of disalignment between my slides and the one that you are seeing. So just allow a second for me to realign myself. Okay, I'm there. Okay. So, as I said, schools were the first one to shut down, and students and teachers were invited to move their activities online on the platforms that we already spoke about. Yeah, I already said this about the Google platform, so we can go ahead to the next slide.
Como eu disse anteriormente, né, as escolas, os alunos se viram obrigados a mudar para o ambiente online. Então, agora eu vou passar para o próximo slide. Ok.
Okay. So, as I said, in these classes, teachers initially tried to keep up with their classes regularly. But unfortunately, this attempt crashed against a list of factors that you see here on the slide, which is, first of all, the availability of technology at their own homes or at their students' homes. Many teachers were not prepared, so they would not have their own laptop or a computer with a webcam connected online, all these things. So they were not ready for it. On the other hand, at the student's home, many families have only one computer for the whole family. And when the lockdown occurred, the whole family needed that computer either to work or to train or to learn. So this made it hard for students to keep following the lessons on a daily basis. As a consequence, teachers and students sort of agreed on being online at the same time in certain moments, in certain hours, while other hours were dedicated to the family. The second point was the Wi-Fi power at the house of the students and the house of the teachers. This is something that in the design phase of an e-learning platform is rarely considered, because in many, normally when we design an e-learning platform, we are working in an office that has a very strong e-learning, a very strong Wi-Fi signal, a very strong internet, strong machines, strong computers and stuff. But in the moment in which we go online and we go to real life connections, not always Wi-Fi is as strong as we would like. So it's not always so powerful. So this made it so that many students could not benefit from video streaming of the lessons, or at the opposite, teachers could not provide good quality video streaming. Another point of attention is the private use versus the formal use of video contents by teachers, students, and their families. We are normally used to, well, at the time, in-class education and face-to-face interaction in the class was the formal context, while going back home to have an interaction on the computer from home was a more messy situation where people would just come and go and dogs will come into the show and whatever. If this was considered normal, as a normal distinction from a formal to informal setting, after the lockdown, the two settings sort of blend in. So this made it so that teachers would see their students' dog walking into the screen, or their families shouting at them, or listening to a vacuum and other things that normally happens in a home during the day. So this sort of required the whole family to adapt to a new standard, which was a learning time and a professional time and a working time, which is something that not always was feasible, not always is available, because it's also related to the space that a person have to do certain things. I will do the last two bullets later if you want to translate what I said this far.
Okay, I think it's better. Thank you. Então, quando os professores inicialmente tentaram continuar com as suas aulas regularmente, eles se depararam com alguns problemas. Por exemplo, a disponibilidade, né, de tecnologia na casa do aluno. Então, percebeu-se que muitos alunos tinham dificuldade, né, de ter acesso à tecnologia em casa. A questão do próprio computador, né, que às vezes a família utilizava para outros fins, para o trabalho, então professores e alunos tiveram que fazer um acordo com alguns horários específicos em que o aluno estaria usando o computador para poder estudar, e os pais dos alunos estariam usando o computador, por exemplo, para realizar outras atividades como profissionais, por exemplo. E um outro problema foi a questão do acesso, né, à rede Wi-Fi, porque muitos alunos também não tinham acesso a um Wi-Fi que os permitisse realizar as atividades online, porque muitos estão acostumados, por exemplo, a utilizar, né, o Wi-Fi, que era muito mais potente, até os professores, por exemplo, né, no escritório, na sala de aula, e se depararam com uma conexão à internet que era muito mais limitada, o que também dificultou o acesso e as interações entre eles. E o que foi observado também é que essa mudança no sentido de compreender, né, o próprio espaço do aluno, a casa dele, como lugar em que ele também estaria estudando, isso também ocasionou diversos problemas, porque às vezes tinha esses problemas de cachorro latindo, pessoas passando atrás no vídeo. Então, a forma, né, de lidar com esse contexto, né, a casa, um ambiente privado, sendo usado para uma atividade mais formal, como estudo, isso fez com que houvesse, né, ali vários transtornos ali nessa interação também. Então, professores e alunos e suas famílias tiveram que aprender a se readequar para utilizar esse espaço de uma maneira mais formal, embora a gente saiba que esse espaço, né, por ser o ambiente familiar ali, a intimidade, a privacidade da família, já não seria mais dessa forma. Ok.
Also, another problem has been the limited preparation by some of the teachers who wouldn't know how to manage online content management systems, commonly called as CMS by the people from ICT, and they would attempt to do so in a limited time, mostly alone, and with the technology available to them at the time of the lockdown. I stress this out because I was one of the person who suffered a computer crash during the lockdown, and not knowing how to solve the problem in a time that was sufficient for me to go from one lesson to the other. So I didn't want to suspend the lessons, but at the same time, I did not have a computer because mine crashed because of the excessive workload in that period. So, and no shop were open. So my only solution was to go online and look for the easiest solution available for me. Now, I'm a lucky person because I know how to use the computer. I'm let's say, computer educated, and my husband is an engineer, so he can help me setting up a new learning system. But I have colleagues who had a very difficult time keeping up their classes online because they were not ready for it. They did not have any computer information, any computer education, so they were not able to switch from face-to-face education to online education. And then last but not least was the case of children with disability and no formal indication on how to how to continue their education in online system and online settings. Actually, children with disability are the ones who actually suffered the lockdown the most because while let's say normal children would have the opportunity to move online directly, those children with disability sort of met the limit of knowledge of their families, of the teachers. So this sort of weighted on them even more, creating further delay there where continuous education and continuous exposure to stimuli is actually very important. So consider people who need daily practice on something who suddenly interrupted their practice for 3 months.
Então, um outro problema aí que foi observado foi uma preparação limitada, né, por parte de alguns professores, que não estavam, por exemplo, capacitados para lidar com um sistema de gerenciamento de conteúdo online. Então, eles não conseguiram lidar com algumas situações que envolviam, por exemplo, né, problemas do conteúdo pelo armazenamento no computador. A própria Maria teve problema com relação a questões tecnológicas pelo excesso de coisas no computador, e se deparou com o problema de não conseguir resolver a princípio, porque também não tinham lojas abertas, mas ela se considera muito sortuda, né, por ter um certo letramento digital, ao mesmo tempo, né, que pode ser ajudada também pelo marido, que é engenheiro, mas essa não é a realidade de muitos professores. Então, muitos não souberam como lidar com problemas ligados, né, à própria tecnologia em si, ao uso do computador. E ela menciona também que, por último, mas não menos importante, a gente tem a questão das crianças com deficiência, né? Porque sem nenhuma indicação formal, né, sobre como é que eles deveriam continuar com essa educação no sistema online, elas se viram no processo de interrupção dos seus estudos, com muito prejuízo, porque para qualquer um de nós seria muito complicado estar no meio de um treinamento, né, de um processo contínuo de aprendizagem, e de repente se vê 3 meses sem ter nenhuma prática. Então, para as crianças com deficiência, a situação foi ainda pior.
Okay, so moving forward with the presentation. Okay, so actually, as a consequence of these difficulties, online training sessions were decreased to a few hours a day, allowing students to alternate the use of the laptop to or other technological devices. So the whole family had to collaborate so that each person would take turn in the use of the computer, at least in the first phase where things just happened. Much of the work was given in the form of homework, making it difficult for families to keep up with their own work and their children's homework. So imagine a family with 2 children having to keep up their work on a distance and also having to help their children with their homework, with revision, with keeping up with learning and training. This was kind of difficult for most families to face. Families who are required to provide daily care to their disabled children complained about the lack of professionals who are trained to provide their service on a distance. Now, as I said in the previous slide, many children with disability were left alone for 2-3 months, whereas their disability and their special education would require daily efforts to improve certain types of skills, according to the disability we're talking about. So in a very brief online survey that I've done during the lockdown phase, I found that families were actually complaining about not having specialized professionals like speech therapists, etc., being ready to go online, rather than school teachers that would actually try to help their students despite of the situation. Again, I will leave the last 2 bullets for last, so that if you want to translate it this far, I will.
Ok. Então, em decorrência, né, desse cenário, foi observado, então, que as sessões de treinamento online elas foram reduzidas a poucas horas diárias, né, permitindo os alunos alternar entre o uso do laptop, do computador deles, e os dispositivos tecnológicos. E muitas das atividades que eram dadas ali para os alunos, como, por exemplo, na forma de um dever de casa, era difícil para as famílias, né, garantir que os alunos pudessem participar e fizessem esse dever de casa. E, além disso, no caso das crianças, né, com deficiência, esse cenário, novamente, ficou bem agravado, porque os pais, eles não tinham nenhuma preparação para garantir que essas crianças tivessem as necessidades educacionais especiais supridas. Então, muitas delas, elas já estavam, né, como foi anteriormente, já há 3 meses sem ter nenhum tipo de assistência, e por não ter um profissional que pudesse acompanhá-las, as famílias, então, que tiveram que tomar conta dessas crianças, aí se viram um pouco perdidas e sem um treinamento adequado para realizar esse trabalho à distância. Ok.
So again, families were required to provide education to their children personally, also taking this as a charge to themselves. Also with that regarding the disabled children and family members. At the same time, many families and professionals won't have enough computer skills to provide the same service with the same quality level. So at the end, not everything can be transferred online.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you again.
Is the last 2 bullet. Okay. The families are thus required to provide education to their children personally, also helping their disabled children and family members. And many families and professionals don't have enough computer skills to provide the same service with the same quality level. So not everything could be transferred online.
Então, as famílias, né, se viram numa situação aí de prover educação para seus filhos, né, pessoalmente, e também cuidando, né, das crianças com deficiência, e também de membros da família, o que, obviamente, gera aí, né, uma situação de sobrecarga. Então, muitas famílias e profissionais também não têm habilidades, né, o letramento digital, habilidades tecnológicas suficientes para garantir o mesmo serviço, né, em termos de aprendizagem, com a mesma qualidade para os seus filhos. Então, a gente percebe que nem tudo pode ser transferido para o ambiente online. Okay.
Okay, so moving forward to the next slide. Yes, okay. To the next slide. Coming to sign language education during lockdown, some of the major problems were inappropriate lighting, so that the room where the lessons were held was not well illuminated. Managing screen distance so that people would see hand shapes, but also the normal position of a sign, because as you know, signs are often adapted for a screen. And when learning, students need to see the position of the hand, the direction, etc. So I sort of had to learn how to adapt sign language education to online settings. Managing the combination between the Wi-Fi signal power, as I said, it was very low. In some cases, the number of students connected in the same time with active videos, and computer system resources available to the selected meeting program, because some of the programs that I've listed above are kind of heavy for the computer to manage and would easily crash in the middle of a lesson.
Então, alguns problemas que eu pude, experienciar aí pessoalmente estavam relacionados a problemas técnicos, como, por exemplo, uma iluminação, inapropriada da sala, onde as lições estavam acontecendo, a questão de lidar com a distância da tela, para que os alunos pudessem ver, no caso, o formato, os sinais feitos com as mãos, na posição que seria a posição normal, como nós sabemos, a língua de sinais, ver a articulação, do gesto, a posição das mãos é algo crucial, ver a questão a posição da mão e o movimento no espaço, para poder, fazer um sinal apropriado, padrão. Então, gerenciar a tela para que eles pudessem ver esse sinal também era um problema. E outra questão foi gerenciar a combinação entre o sinal do Wi-Fi e o número de estudantes conectados ao mesmo tempo com o vídeo ativo, e os recursos ali, do computador para o programa, selecionado ali para o encontro. Okay.
In the next slide, I talk mostly about the psychological and physical and health issues that can arise in a situation like this. Managing screen fatigue and moving across content and modalities in the same time is an actual risk during using too much of e-learning systems for sign language education. And also another problem is managing students' learning progress in terms of comprehension, production, and especially interaction. Because in the case of interaction, hearing students tend to switch from sign language to spoken language. So it is important to have a teacher who is there also to listen, or to watch, to see that students are not signing, but they are actually speaking. So in that case, having a presence that is stop speaking and keep silence actually helps managing interaction in the case of sign language learning. And all of this, of course, in a context of major fear on a national perspective, limited freedom for which we were not allowed to go out of the house or move around for any reason which was not emergency, and also limited exchange opportunities.
Então, nesse slide, nós vemos outras questões, para além das questões técnicas, que têm a ver com a questão física, a questão mental, a questão emocional. Então, por exemplo, o que ela experienciou? Uma questão de fadiga mesmo, de cansaço, ao ficar lidando ali com a tela o tempo todo, e também trabalhando com conteúdos e modalidades ao mesmo tempo, conteúdos e modalidades diferentes. O gerenciamento dos problemas envolvendo o progresso dos alunos em termos de compreensão, produção e interação. Então, ela ilustra que, em muitos momentos, é difícil saber se o aluno estava realmente sinalizando, se ele estava falando, então deveria ter um professor ali que pudesse monitorar isso para verificar, então ela não tinha como dar conta disso tudo. E, nesse contexto todo aí, ainda fica a questão do medo, da liberdade limitada, e de troca também limitada em termos de oportunidades.
Okay, so moving forward very fast to the last slide, I will talk it over. We can actually pick up from this experience is that we need sign language professionals, formal recognition in terms of professionality, preparation, and salary. A complete transfer from face-to-face education to online settings requires taking into consideration several paradigms, which I already listed along my my speak, so I will not go into it now. And also, we need to consider the computer fatigue, the fact that actually going online for many hours a day actually need to take in account physical and psychological stress of the teacher. So that needs to be taken into account when planning online settings.
Então, o que nós podemos aprender dessa experiência, né? Que a aprendizagem, né, face a face aí, na língua de sinais, ela não pode ser comparada, por exemplo, a uma educação, né, pessoal, individual, e que numa interação online entre professor e aluno, né, a gente tem uma necessidade maior de compreender a forma como a tecnologia, ela é uma ferramenta, entre outras, na educação, onde o professor, ele precisa entender a forma como ela funciona e como é que pode tirar, na verdade, o melhor dessa experiência. E que essa experiência também mostra, né, como é que nesse contexto os professores também estão numa situação, né, de grande desgaste físico, de desgaste emocional, né, de grande fadiga. Então, tudo isso deve ser levado em conta nesse contexto aí.
Okay, so I would stop now. If there are questions, I will be glad to answer. And please, Rubens, can you go to the last slide? So in case you want to keep on this discussion, I will be available on my contacts. Also, thank you, Gasperim, and thank you, Gabriel, for your translation service. Thank you very much.
Ok. Então, agora vai mostrar os contatos, estou colocando aí o último slide, agradece aos intérpretes, Gabriel e Gasper. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thanks.
E nesse momento, né, o Rubens já abriu aí a sessão para que os nossos convidados aí que estejam nos assistindo façam suas perguntas, seus comentários também. O Rubens vai gerenciar o chat nesse momento. So Rubens will be working on the chat so that he may select some questions or some comments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Rubens is asking people to write their questions on the chat.
Yeah.
Então, nesse momento, a gente está aguardando aí as pessoas, né, colocarem as perguntas no chat. E eu vou aproveitar, enquanto, né, os outros convidados fazem suas perguntas, e vou esclarecendo alguns pontos também, ok? So, as the other people are writing their questions, I will take the time to ask you things about the presentation itself, things that can be clarified, because my translation maybe is not so good as it should be. So I needed to summarize lots of things.
Yeah, we're working in a hard situation.
There were many moments that I could not listen. I could not hear you very well. Então, é difícil esse momento que a gente não está conseguindo ouvir direito. E tem um atraso, né? There is a delay. Né? Tem esse atraso aí. Então, às vezes é muito difícil a tradução simultânea. It's very hard to do such a thing, right? Because of this delay, considering technology. And when I think I understood something you have just said, you are saying another thing because there is a delay here for me.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry about this, but of course it's part of the lecture.
Yeah. So, eu peço desculpa a todos, né, porque existem algumas informações dos slides que eu não consegui traduzir simultaneamente, eu não lembrei a tempo também para traduzir, por causa desse atraso aí, por problemas de conexão. I was apologizing, talking to the audience, telling them that I had some problems considering this delay, so I might have forgotten translating things you have said.
Okay, so I read the question from friends. We understand you've had a lot of problems and constraints in the process we were not expecting at all. How are you dealing with everything now? Okay, now, do you want to translate the question, Gasperi?
Okay. Oh, yes, well, ok? Então, Rubens, ele, né, colocou a pergunta aí na tela. Nós entendemos que você tiveram muitos problemas, né, questões aí no processo, porque nós não estávamos esperando tudo isso, né? Então, como é que vocês estão lidando com tudo isso agora? Ok.
Okay, now let's say we are used to emergency setting. So we are continuing to provide online education. The whole system sort of normalized so that we are we have our favorite e-learning platform, our favorite system, and we are using that system to provide our classes. However, this was not always easy to manage because, for instance, in the case of academic examinations, we needed to provide also the official recognition, official registration of the students. So the university had to add further online system to grant the recognition of the people who actually is doing the exam. So we are changing the system, and we expect the system to change again before our classes start again in September, because we are now at the end of our academic year and we will begin again in September. So let's say personally, and this is the voice of many of my colleagues as well, we are extremely tired because we had to adapt very fast to a very changing situation. We hope that September we will have a more structured learning system. Many universities are thinking about blended learning systems, but this is not clear yet. It's not decided, not yet.
Então, sintetizando a resposta, né, da Maria, ela disse que agora já estão mais acostumados, né, com esse contexto emergencial, o que significa também que eles já conhecem mais plataformas para poder realizar, né, esse ensino e aprendizagem, né, à distância, e que nesse momento eles estão lutando para que haja um reconhecimento oficial, né, com relação ao trabalho dos intérpretes de Libras, né, de língua de sinais italiana. Ela mencionou também que lá agora eles estão mais ou menos no final, né, do período letivo, porque as aulas retornam em setembro, e ainda não há muita clareza com relação a como será esse semestre letivo, né, esse ano letivo, na verdade, que inicia em setembro. Mas ela frisou que eles estão bastante cansados.
I see a question from Tatiana. Tatiana,
another question.
And there was another question from Pedro. I've just seen it 1 second, so if you can just put it back, the one from Pedro.
Rubens, você consegue trazer o comentário do Pedro de volta? Okay, I'm asking Rubens to bring his comment or his question again, right? The question or comment made by Pedro, which, if I'm not mistaken, it's his name.
And
Pedro,
if you want, you can also translate the question from Tatiana. I will answer that as well.
Okay, so this is a comment and a question from Tatiana Lebedev. Good morning, Maria. It's great to see you and understand the Italian reality. And some more practical questions. So the remote days were considered school days or just for evaluations, assessments, if they were evaluations and assessments. Okay, so she would like to know if the remote activities were considered like school days, right, officially, and if there were some evaluations or assessments done during this time.
Okay. Okay. Should I answer now, or should I go with? Should I wait for the question from Pedro?
No, I think you could answer her.
There's Pedro.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to Pedro Wittes.
Yeah, I'll answer both questions.
Okay, Pedro Wittes. And I have one question. Maria, here in Brazil, and we have seen that there are several deaf people who became YouTubers, and they regularly publish videos on various subjects on their channels. The use of this technology, we realize, ends up supplying a lot of the absence of productions, be it entertainment or educational in sign language. In Italy, do you notice this movement?
Okay, so I will answer to Pedro just because the answer to Pedro is short. By the way, Pedro and Tatiana, it's very good to see you, even though I don't see you online. Thank you, Tatiana. Hug to you too. Okay, so Pedro, there were, yes, deaf people who became, thank you, Eva Cristina, who became YouTubers and also gave contents in sign language. Actually, more than deaf people who became YouTubers, there were hearing people who know little sign language, who did sign language classes, but they were not occupied during the lockdown, who decided to provide more contents in sign language. So actually what happened was that after a few weeks from the lockdown, the internet became full of informations in sign language provided by either deaf people or hearing people. This is the situation.
Então ela observou que depois da quarentena, né, já que na internet, né, a gente passou a ver tanta informação, não somente pessoas surdas, mas como ouvintes também se dispuseram, né, no caso voluntariamente, a realizar esse tipo de trabalho online também.
And Tatiana, okay, your question is more complicated. That's why I hold it for last. Actually, despite of the whole situation, the classes, the period was considered completely as a training period. So the final assessment needs to be done regularly and normally. There is a distinction between academic education and mainstream school education. So I'll let you translate this before I go further.
Ok. Então, ela menciona que há uma diferença entre a educação acadêmica e esse mainstreaming, que seria, né, a educação sendo provida no ambiente online. Então, esse período, né, pelo qual eles passaram agora, foi basicamente um período para treinamento. E acredito que agora, na próxima fala, ela vai aumentar a distinção entre esse período acadêmico e esse de treinamento online. Okay.
So for that, considering the academic assessment, us teachers of the university, at least our university, because each university decided to face the problem differently, we were required to adapt our exam methodology to the situation, but not the contents. So this meant having to assess the skills that were expected to be achieved by the end of the training session, as if we were training people face to face. This obviously had problems, especially because I teach in an interpreting university. So we had to work a lot with the features given by Zoom or Microsoft Teams or other things of the like that actually allow creating private spaces, rooms that allow interaction and allow listening to the student while they're working, or working one-to-one to the student, while the rest of the students are sort of isolated and listening. Actually, what has happened is we blended all the social networks together. So this was not my case, because having to test sign language, my difficulty was especially a physical one, having to see all these small screens signing at the same time. But in the case of colleagues of translation, they used WhatsApp, Moodle, Zoom, Google, all together just to do one examination. But we were required to do the examination as if nothing was happening. And this also is also the case of laureate degree, so thesis discussion. We did thesis discussions online. So this is one part of the answer.
Ok, então considerando aí, né, essas avaliações acadêmicas, eles não foram permitidos simplesmente abrir mão disso. Então, para conseguir fazer essas avaliações, eles tiveram que fazer, né, mesclar diversos recursos tecnológicos aí, como, por exemplo, o WhatsApp, o Moodle, o Zoom, para que eles tivessem salas, né, individuais também, para poder avaliar a interação, a produção do aluno individualmente, para conseguir, dessa forma, atribuir alguma nota. Porque, embora os conteúdos fossem adaptados, né, para a plataforma, a avaliação não foi adaptada. Então, os alunos continuaram sendo exigidos aí a obter nota, por assim dizer. Então, é nesse sentido, né, que essa personalização da avaliação, ela aconteceu, porém mesclando várias plataformas digitais aí, vários recursos tecnológicos. Ok.
So for that concerning mainstream education, so children attending school, so age from 6 to 18 years old, there has been a big discussion going on all along the lockdown phase, because students could not attend all the classes regularly. And of course, as I said, the families could not assist them as they would have wanted. So they had a lot of discussions on how to consider the training period done online, and how to consider, especially for those who were ending their training path, so those who will do their exams this summer, how to consider that. So for a long time, up to I think the end of April and beginning of May, the authorities said that the exam would not have that the exam would not take place, and then students will pass the year, even though they would not be even though they were not effectively following and doing their homeworks. In a second moment, they realized that this was not appropriate, so they decided to still assess the students for what they have done up to February, and then still considering what they've done online, but with sort of a discount on what was expected from them. I'll let you translate this, and then I will go to the exam part.
Ok, então, a princípio, até o final de abril, o início de maio, cogitou-se não realizar nenhum tipo de avaliação, ou apenas considerar o que eles tinham feito até fevereiro. Porém, depois desse período, foi reconsiderado, né, para que houvesse algum tipo de avaliação. If I'm not mistaken, you have said that after May, the students required to have some assessment. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Então, depois de maio, estou confirmando com ela aqui, eles foram, né, tiveram que fazer algumas provas. Could I ask you, you're going to say later how these tests were taken?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So
you're gonna talk more about it. Ela vai falar
yes.
mais sobre isso.
And about the exams, also at first, they expected not to do the exams. In Italy, students have to take an exam when they go from intermediate to higher degree, to higher studies. So when they're around 13, 14 years old. And then another final exam is around their 18, 19 years when they finish the mainstream education. So for those who done the exam, the 13 years old exam, there has been, they will be testing less skills than what they are supposed to do. And the same will happen for the 18 years old test. Normally, they would have to do a small thesis, 2 written exam, 1 written test, and then an oral talk. In this year, this test will be discounted and only 1 written exam will be provided. And then they will have the final discussion with the teachers online. So this is what have been decided, but it has been decided very late in the beginning of May, and school has ended in the end of May. So consider like 1 month of clarity about how to manage the exams.
Então, ela disse que os alunos na Itália, eles passam por 2 grandes exames, por dizer, né? O primeiro, quando eles começam no ensino médio, quando eles têm a idade entre 13 e 14 anos, e quando eles vão para o ensino superior, geralmente entre 18 e 19 anos. Essas avaliações, elas são um pouco complexas, no sentido de que elas envolvem, por exemplo, pequenos parágrafos, né, teses que eles têm que escrever, também tem uma espécie de prova oral, tem que participar também de um debate na interação com professores, e trabalhar também com vários textos. Então, a opção que eles deram foi simplificar o número de avaliações, né, então diminuir o número de habilidades que seriam cobrados desses alunos.
So this is much for the question from Tatiana. From the question from GL, I will read the question. Thinking of an inclusive perspective, how did you, the authorities, handle the lack of equipment and internet power amongst some of teachers and students? So if you want to translate the question, I will then go to the answer.
Translating to it? Ok. Então, a pergunta aí, né, do grupo GEL. Pensando em uma perspectiva inclusiva, como é que vocês, incluindo as autoridades, né, lidaram com a falta de equipamentos e acesso à internet, considerando professores e alunos?
Okay, so starting from an inclusive perspective, nothing was considered.
Então, considerando, né, a perspectiva inclusiva aí, nada foi considerado.
What has been done, but is more like in a perspective situation, not much in a preventive situation. Was to some universities are providing technology for the students so that students can access the contents of the lessons through technological support. For that, considering Wi-Fi and internet power, signal power, no. There has been a few attempts from private phone providers so that, you know, for a certain limited period, phone providers has given more powerful connection to those students from mainstream education who has required it. So it was a private initiative. So it was like a private giveaway given the situation of lockdown. Since the lockdown has ended in the beginning of June, these free activities given away from the providers has actually ended. So now we're back to a situation of free commerce, where all these connections, internet connections, computer, laptop, etc., is back to free market. So in some cases, phone companies have kept free access to more powerful Wi-Fi connection. In some other cases, this is given by paying a certain amount, which can be also high. But no, the government haven't taken any decision from this perspective. Also because they are still managing they're trying to make things return to normal. So the expectation is that September's students will go back to the classroom and not having to have distant education anymore. However, those of us who work in the field are well aware that it's not going to be normal. Also because just simply thinking, in the case of those of us who work with the deaf, having to use the mask in an enclosed environment means that the deaf cannot access lip reading, and this makes it an issue for them. There are no official masks with transparent window. So this is already a difficulty, a challenge for us who work with the deaf. So we are still in the process of adapting. We are not over it yet.
Então, em suma, ela deixou claro que, basicamente, ainda há muito o que acontecer, embora as aulas vão em setembro, eles ainda não têm certeza o que vão fazer. Houve muitas iniciativas por parte de empresas privadas, que, por exemplo, aumentaram, né, os dados para a telefonia, para que os alunos tivessem mais acesso à internet, mas não houve uma iniciativa do próprio governo nesse sentido. E, infelizmente, né, o que ela tem observado também, e essa abertura do comércio, pessoas utilizando máscaras, se tornou também um problema para os surdos, porque eles não podem fazer a leitura labial, e o uso de máscaras que tem, né, uma janela transparente para o surdo poder fazer a leitura labial, ainda também não é oficial. Então, o surdo ele tem que lidar ainda com essa situação. Então, tudo isso ainda é muito incerto, mas está muito claro que o governo não tem conseguido trabalhar numa perspectiva inclusiva. Okay.
Okay, I'm done this far.
Okay, Maria, thank you very
much. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Ela concluiu.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting for people to send you some final remarks, but I'd like to use this time to thank you very much for your participation in our group.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, it was very interesting because
agradecendo.
Because we have this problem currently in Brazil, right? What to do, and it's nice to hear that you faced the problems before us, and then we can listen from you and maybe learn from you as well. Thank you very much.
I hope you will. I hope I hope this experience can teach in some way the experience in Brazil. Although I see that a lot depends on what you have as a basic structure and what you can actually change. But yeah, let's remain faithful.
Jasper, em tradução para o povo? Então, vamos manter aí, né, na verdade, com fé e esperança. Vou estabelecendo a participação da Maria, e, né, lembrando que a gente tem enfrentado também um contexto parecido, e a Maria, né, nos lembrando que é importante, né, nos mantermos aí com a crença de que as coisas vão melhorar, e nos lembrando também que tudo tem a ver com a estrutura básica, né, a estrutura básica que nós temos aí para lidar com as coisas. A Luísa Monte, né, está dizendo aí que é uma ótima palestra, agradecendo.
Thank you all for the nice comments
Okay.
and for being here.
O Pedro H is saying, congratulations, Maria, Gabriel, and Catherine. Congratulations, Rose and GL, for the wonderful life.
Thank you, Pedro. Thank you, Marina. I can still read
Marina,
the little Brazilian.
I thank the professor. I thank you. Oh, can you understand Portuguese writing?
Yes, I also understand a little bit when I hear.
Thank you, Professor, for the very interesting lecture and all the people involved.
Thank you, Tatiana. You're maravilhosa as well.
Wonderful.
Thank you
very much.
Obrigada.
Nós do grupo GL gostaríamos de agradecer muito aos que estiveram presentes, né? Como eu estou anunciando aí, a nossa próxima live será no dia 30 de junho, às 20 horas, né? Nós vamos ter uma professora da Universidade Federal de São Carlos, Vanessa, falando sobre Foucault e educação, do governo das diferenças, a potência da vida surda na escola, né? Esperamos que todos possam estar presentes. Aí convidamos a todos a publicarem na revista do grupo, né, do GEL, Revista Interdisciplinar em Estudos de Linguagem. Convidamos vocês a se inscreverem no canal também do YouTube para receberem as notícias sobre as próximas lives. E temos um canal no Facebook também, né? Então, foi um prazer estar com vocês e gostaríamos muito de convidá-los para os próximos eventos do nosso grupo também, né? Obrigado, Gabriel, pela interpretação espetacular do inglês direto para a língua de sinais brasileira. Eu não posso dizer que foi a melhor do mundo, mas eu acredito que foi, porque eu não entendo língua de sinais, mas eu acho que foi ótimo, né? Porque você recebeu vários elogios aqui, né? Desafiador traduzir direto do inglês para a língua de sinais, né? Obrigado, Gasperin, também pela mediação, né, e pela tradução, um serviço duplo, né, mediar e traduzir, muito obrigado, foi excelente, né? And thank you very, very, very much, Maria. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Maria, and
thank you.
And let's invite her to join us on June 30th.
Yes, I hope so.
You're invited to join us on June 30th. We're going to have a presentation about the students in public school from a professor from a federal university in Brazil.
Gabriel, você gostaria de falar um pouquinho mais sobre...
estender o convite aí.
Gostaria de falar um pouquinho sobre o evento com a Vanessa, da UFSCar?
Tá me ouvindo?
Perfeito.
Fica difícil ficar sem introdução agora, as duas coisas, né? Mas a Vanessa vai trazer... Gaspar, eu vou fazer em blocos igual a Maria, você traduz para ela também, por favor, ok? Então, a professora Vanessa é minha orientadora de doutorado, e ela vai ter uma conversa com a gente sobre alguns conceitos Foucaultianos aplicados na educação de surdos, sobretudo a questão da filosofia da diferença em alguns contextos específicos, e como que essa diferença vem moldando a educação de surdos no contexto geral da educação brasileira.
Okay, so his professor called Vanessa, who is his advisor in his PhD, will talk about her experience in public schools considering deaf students, as she's been experiencing this context for, I think, 20 years, if I'm not mistaken, and she will mainly talk about the philosophy of difference.
Ok, cool.
Acho que eu esqueci de alguma coisa aí, Gabriel.
Tá ótimo. Muito obrigado, Maria. Nós vamos encerrar a live aqui. Obrigado a todos. Vamos todos no Brasil almoçar e na Itália provavelmente já é quase hora do jantar, né? Thank you, Maria. Have a nice evening.
Thank you as well. Have a nice day. Bye. Thank you much.
Obrigado. Um ótimo dia. Bye, bye. Thank you all.
Bye.